Compliance Matters. Brought to you by Lenders Compliance Group.
Welcome to Compliance Matters. I'm Jonathan Foxx, Managing Director of Lenders Compliance Group. With me here today is Joyce Wilkins Pollison, who is the Director of Legal and Regulatory Compliance at Lenders Compliance Group. Today we are going to discuss the anti-money laundering program. This is a relatively complicated subject. It is rooted in the Bank Secrecy Act, known by its acronym BSA. And what we want to do is provide to you some highlights regarding the anti-money laundering features, which we can refer to as AML. So Joyce, what I'd like to understand from your point of view is, first, what entities must have an anti-money laundering program?
Initially, it was just financial institutions that were subject to the Bank Secrecy Act. Effective in August 2012, the AML program requirements were extended to include residential mortgage loan originators, which includes all mortgage companies and all brokers, no matter how big or how small.
And what do companies have to do to meet the requirements of an anti-money laundering program?
Essentially, for an anti-money laundering program, you have to institute internal controls and processes designed to minimize your risk for exposure to money laundering activities. Your money laundering program itself should be based on a risk assessment, which should be reduced to writing. That assessment is based on your company's customer base, your product mix, your geographic locations, meaning the areas in which you do business, as well as where your physical operations are. Again, that should be reduced to writing. Obviously, larger, more complex organizations will have a higher degree of risk for money laundering than a smaller company. Mm-hmm. Once you've done your written risk assessment, then we have what's really based, the four pillars of an AML program. The first of these is policies, procedures, and internal controls. You should have written policies and procedures which are designed to mitigate your risk. They should be tailored towards your line of business, residential mortgage loan origination, as opposed to being a policy for a large depository financial institution. A regulator is not going to want to see a policy dealing with more broader transactions other than mortgage lending that you're not involved in. It's very important that the policies are tailored to your actual practices. So for example, if the policy says pull a fraud guard report for each file, make sure you're actually pulling that report.
Right.
The second pillar is the appointment of a BSA officer. And as you know, the BSA officer is the one in charge of monitoring the AML program on behalf of the company. Ideally, he or she should be reviewing it on an annual basis. They're also responsible for training company personnel on the program itself, which brings us to the third pillar, training. Can't get enough of it. Training, training, training. Does no good to have these policies and procedures in place if your employees don't know what they are. They need to know if they suspect something, who are they supposed to report it to? Are they supposed to report it to their direct manager, or they just go right to the compliance officer? They need to know who's going to investigate it. Who's going to make a decision whether or not a suspicious activity report should be filed. And of course, all these things should be set forth in your policy. Training should be not only on regulations, it should be on your specific policy. Additionally, it should be noted that training can occur internally, externally. It could be instructor-led, web-based, doesn't matter. It's just important that you get it done on an annual basis and get it done within 30 days for new hires. One other note regarding training is make sure you track attendance so you can prove to an examiner that all of your employees did have training within the set time frame, and make sure you keep PowerPoints, audio recordings, any handouts that you may have so someone can look at the comprehensiveness of the training. I can't tell you how many times we've seen somebody said, oh yeah, here's our certificate, we had training, but they have nothing else to back it up. So you have a certificate, I don't know what you were talking about. And then lastly, we have the AML audit or test. And there what we're really doing is looking to see that there's no weaknesses or what weaknesses we can fit fix within your AML program. The AML audit can be done by an external third-party auditor, or it can be done internally. If done internally, it cannot be done by the BSA officer or anyone reporting to the BSA officer or anyone involved in the AML audit functions that are being audited. Thus, it makes it very difficult for a smaller company to conduct the AML test internally.
Very good. So, policies and procedures, AML compliance officer, training, and testing.
Exactly.
What I'd like to get from you is how best to put out a kind of a sense of when and how a AML program can be put in place with respect to the management or the executive group.
Well, I think that you have to realize that it's the executive group, the board of the executive group, that sets the tone for the company
Right.
as to the importance of AML education and compliance. And I think once the executive group has that ingrained in them, under trickle-down theory, it'll go to the rest of the staff and employees and minimize the company's risks of exposure to money laundering activity.
Very good, very good. Good advice, and I hope you all take it to heart and put it in place as soon as possible. This is Compliance Matters. I hope you'll visit with us soon. Thank you.
Lenders Compliance Group is the first and only full-service mortgage risk management firm in the United States. We offer a full suite of services in residential mortgage banking for banks and non-banks. Pioneers in outsourcing solutions for residential mortgage compliance. Contact us at compliance@lenderscompliancegroup.com or visit our website at lenderscompliancegroup.com.
This is Mortgage News Network.